It's been fun, man, since the trade deadline. I'm not going to lie, completely different feel with this team because this is really look. They've been really aggressive every trade deadline the last couple of years, but this is the first time where it's like there's no like justification or explaining the move, right? It's basically like, yep, you want an offense, you were banging that drum all off season and into the season. You want that extra pieces offensively, and they got it. Here it is, and there's no like, yep, 2025, and that's it. As opposed to trying to work around the edges or add this because it's a future move or we're trying to have controllable players or whatever it is. And man, everyone's fired up, man. They a huge homestand. They took 9 to 10. They had the Ichiro weekend. It's just a really good thing happening right now in Seattle. That's for sure.
Did it need to be at the trade deadline? Did it need to be a move that was like, hey, we're, as a front office, we're looking at it like, I don't know, ownership, I don't know how good this team really is. Is Julio really good? We'll wait and see till the trade deadline because Suarez wasn't available. Josh Naylor was available. You could have gotten another third base bat to come in and play that position all year. They might not be tied right now. They may be up on the Astros.
You're talking going back into the offseason, right, in regards to making those moves. Well, put it this way, man, like the Mariners, as we know, free agents, man, it's competitive. Sometimes it's more than just dollars and cents to bring some of these guys in. There's more that goes into it, as you guys know, and you got to do a little bit of recruiting as well. I feel like their big, draw card is where the players where you get it via trade, and I feel like coming out of 2024, their biggest chip was going to be pitching, whether it was in the minor leagues in AA, AAA, or even in the big leagues, dismantling that 5-man rotation. And they just weren't willing to do that. They just weren't willing to do that. So that move really wasn't out there, I feel like, in the offseason. And I feel like because they weren't, like I said, willing to give up their biggest strength. And then they get into a season. They kind of play, see how we go a little bit. They were slipping behind the Astros, who, by the way, were not very good in these last couple of months in regards to how they were built. They were winning. I don't even know how they were winning, to be honest with you, with all these injuries and everything else. But you're looking at this going, man, well, how good are we? If the Astros are able to get this lead in the West and we can't keep up with them, you kind of ask yourself, well, how good is this team? And so I feel like it got to that place. And, we know Cal Raleigh the last couple of years has been vocal about it. And they've gotten to a place now where it's like we've got 5 All-Stars on this team. We've got a Cal Raleigh who's having a historic year, knocking over Johnny Bench and heading towards Mickey Mantle in regards to home runs for a switch hitter. It's insane. So the time is now, and it got to a place where it was month after month of saying this team has something here. There's a good young core of players you need to add, and it took up into the deadline. Put it this way too, man. I'm going to give a ton of credit to Justin Hollander because look, they made the move with Josh Naylor, and you look at that and fans are like, yeah, great, we added a player finally who's just pure rental for 2025. But you look at that going, hold on, he's on the same team as Gino Suarez. What happened to that? We love Gino. Like, how come we couldn't pull that off? And Justin Hollander, that door wasn't closed, and he just kept calling. And by the way, on the bullpen side as well, I think they were a little disappointed they didn't get another bullpen piece because I pushed so hard to get that second guy in that bullpen to bridge that gap to Brash and Munoz. But I got to give it to him, man. They just kept pushing. And I think that doing that deal with Josh Naylor a little earlier, you develop that relationship where the D-backs say, yep, we're happy with what we got. Thank you. You're happy with what you got. All right, let's keep that door open. And then I feel like the value for Gino just kind of kept sort of slipping a little bit because there's other options out there. And then they struck, man. And by the way, they didn't give up any of their top 100 prospects. So A+ at the trade deadline. And to answer your question, sure. In the winter, I think if the goal was to go get offense, you were probably going to have to give up your biggest attribute, and that's pitching. I just don't think they're willing to do that. I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, honestly. Until this point.
But why this year? Why not last year? Why this year? Was it just because of the Cal Raleigh year and what they look around at the West and say the West is vulnerable this year? You kind of glossed over it a little bit, but is that the main reason? Because Houston's banged up beyond belief, right? They're not the same Houston. Bregman's gone. All these guys are gone. Then you look at the Rangers. They're not playing very well. The Angels are the Angels, clearly. Is this why finally Dipoto in the front office was told, hey, you can do this year? And it's awesome they didn't give up their top prospects. That's the way it's supposed to work. But, in years past, they've had the ability and they've had luxury of the starting pitching. But why in 25? Is it because the West is just not as good as it used to be?
I think so. I really do, man. I think it's, going back to last year again, 2024, going back to that pitching, right? That's what got them close. And whether or not there was a move last year, look, they were still aggressive, and they still went and got, Justin Turner and Randy Rosarina. I mean, they still got some offense. They still got, Jimmy Garcia in the bullpen as well. And they, again, they didn't need to give up a whole lot to get him. And so they still were aggressive last year. The year prior to that, they went and got Luis Castillo, who was the biggest piece out there. And they added to that starting pitch. It wasn't as good as last year in 2023 to go get Luis Castillo to fill that void. And that's kind of that was their anchor. That was their, call it their aircraft carrier. That was what was going to take him to that next level. So going into 2025, and you guys know, man, it's so tough to replicate what they got out of their starting pitching last year. And that's kind of been obvious, right? Bryce Miller goes down. He's struggled. You had a situation where George Kirby didn't start the year. He was on the IL. You had, Logan Gilbert missed 7 weeks as well. So you're not going to replicate what they had in 2024. But I feel like they went into this season saying, all right, yeah, we might be limited in what we can do in regards to going and paying money for a free agent. But we do have the capacity to make a trade at some point. And the time was right, man. They got to a place as a group, as a team, and as a front office to say, all right, we're really good, yet we know what we need. We're going to be aggressive like they were last year and the year prior to that. And let's go and get a move that services 2025 only, really for the first time in the last couple of years. So, again, man, the aggression has always been there. But this year it just feels different because it's straight up not a situation where it's like we have controllable players or we can do this and that. No. They just went all in on pure rentals. We just haven't seen that in the last couple of years.
All right, let's move ahead to the rest of the season now. Eugenio Suarez has got like a 330 OPS since he's come over. And right. Naylor's got 1,000 OPS. How do you see, because you see this team day in and day out, how do you see pitchers navigating the lineup differently with those two guys in, especially because people will be like, oh, Suarez trade sucked. Like he's not doing – to me, you add a guy like Suarez who will get hot at some point and carry the team, but he's there all the time looming. Do you see a difference in how teams are pitching and navigating, how we got to throw to a certain guy that's feasting during this time?
Yeah, the biggest shakeup, which was interesting coming out of that deadline, was you had – J.P. Croft was at the top of the line. By the way, he's quietly having a really good year. And he was at the top of the line. Matter of fact, I was kind of hoping he was going to make the All-Star team. Didn't happen. He's having an awesome year, but, man, he was struggling. Going into that trade deadline, he was struggling. Then they get, obviously, a Naylor, and then they get a Gino. They come out August 1st. You got to figure out how you kind of put this lineup together. You put Randy at the top, Randy Rosarina, who's having, by the way, best power year as well, and plus he's swiping a bunch of bags too. I think he's already beaten his career best in stolen bases. And so you look at that and say, all right, you've got the first 1 through, I'll throw Polanco in there as well because he's back to what he was doing in April. 1 through 6, man, it's a gauntlet. It's tough because you look at that, there's no breathing room, right? Cal's still getting pitches to hit, which I thought after that home run derby, after that All-Star break, all right, they're going to have to, be a little bit more careful with him. But he's still getting pitches to hit, and he's starting to figure out that swing as well. 3 home runs in the last 4 games. And then you've got right behind him Julio all of a sudden, August and September. So it's a gauntlet. Now, the biggest question was when you saw JP go from the leadoff spot, and you guys know, man, like you see a guy lose his leadoff spot and he shuffles down to 7th. All right, how's he going to react? Like, how's he going to, around the cage or in the dugout, whatever, is he going to be that guy? But no, that's just not his style, man. He's kind of come in and basically said, so excited for what we got. Randy Rosarina wasn't upset about leaving the 4th spot behind Cal, getting more pitches. He's going up to the leadoff spot. So everyone's pretty fired up about what they have in this lineup. Now, you mentioned Gino hasn't quite gotten hot just yet, but it's just a tough lineup to navigate. And the only breathing room you look at and say, all right, you've got 3 lefties, 7, 8, 9. And so you're like, well, they're going to get matched up. But the problem is JP hits lefties pretty well. And by the way, pitches per plate appearance is insane. So you've got 7, 8, 9 all of a sudden since the trade deadline, seeing about 4.5 pitches per plate appearance. On base is over 400 and flipping that lineup back over. So there is really no breathing room. Now, I know they only put up a 1 run yesterday, but going back to that homestand in Seattle, it was relentless. You could just have that feeling. We just haven't had that in Seattle. You've always had those pockets where it's like, oh man, so-and-so's coming up with 2 outs and, there's a runner on second. You just feel like there's just going to be that swing and miss, especially last year. It's just not the case right now since August 1st, and everyone can feel it, man. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Kratz, tell everyone why they need to look into a virtual private network, aka a VPN.
It's kind of like wearing trousers. It keeps everything private and secure whenever you venture out.
That's good. That's really good. And Surfshark creates user-friendly privacy and security solutions to protect your data and your privacy online. It enables you to virtually explore the globe, browse privately by encrypting your internet activity, and block ads and malware that may disrupt your experience. So go to surfshark.com/foul or use the code FOUL at checkout at surfshark.com to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee, and the FT fam is hooked up with 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN when you sign up at surfshark.com and use the code FOUL. It is time to take control of your online security. Try Surfshark today.
You brought up Julio Rodriguez, and he was a controversial all-star pick because of where he's at. His numbers are good now. What changed, though? What he's done this for a couple of years now, right? Where April, May, even into June, it's really kind of a struggle, and then July, August, September come. What is the difference in second half Julio and first half Julio?
Yeah, okay. So going back to last year, right? We haven't had that big of a sample size, really. It's not like he's done it for 6 years. It's been like a couple of years there where he went off as a rookie, expectation was through the roof. And then, going back to last year, right? Last year, he was just trying to reinvent the wheel. The guy was like, he was trying to have more plate discipline, but he was kind of taking away that aggressiveness on that first pitch. He just wasn't. I'm not saying the Mariners didn't allow him to be an athlete, but I feel like with him, he was just trying to. He was trying to be, super pro at bat, and all of a sudden wear a pitcher down or something. It's like, dude, just go out and swing, man. See the ball, hit the ball, just rip it. And then this year, it was kind of this situation, I feel like, where he hits everything, he insides outs everything to right field, and it's ridiculous, man. Like, ball comes off his bat just different to everyone else. It just does. That's why all those ground balls can just kind of shoot through. It's like he's playing on a Little League field. And then the big conversation was, look, in order to get the ball in the air with some authority and get some power, some more of the power numbers, because that was lacking. It's been lacking the first half. It's like he's so undercooked in regards to some of the power numbers. Get the ball in the air to the pull side. I feel like he was trying to do that. He was getting a little bit beaten inside. And then right before the All-Star break, it's like something clicked, man. He all of a sudden was able to get that bat head out, and he was launching balls into left field. Wasn't hitting the ball on the ground. Like, when you look at the ground ball rate to the left side of the infield, it's through the roof, but the exit velo is still good, right? So he's still getting good contact, but he just can't lift the ball. And then all of a sudden, right before the break, I'm trying to remember who he took deep. I was watching. He got that little spin and breaking ball, got the bat head out, cheated a little bit, and he launched one foul into the seats. And I was like, oh man, I haven't seen him do that for forever. And then next pitch, whack, boom, took one into left field. And so I kind of eliminated just guys just beating him up, middle in my opinion. And I feel like from that point, he took you mentioned the All-Star game, controversial pick. He took that off because he wanted to get some work in, whatever it was. But now all of a sudden, I feel like he's just got this nice he's in this groove where he can hit that ball into right center field with authority, but he's just able to pick his spots where he can just get that bat head out and cheat a little bit on some of those pitches inside. So it's kind of, you can't just eliminate half the plate for Julio. So I think there's a little bit of that. And plus, too, I don't know what it is, man, psychologically, if it's something where, like, you get to that point where dust settles, trade deadlines happen, you had the All-Star break or the All-Star game, whether you're around your peers at the game or taking the time off, and you seeing the finish line, you just kind of have that nothing to lose sort of mentality. I think maybe there's a little bit of that too. Psychologically, he gets to a place where it's like, all right, this is my swing right now. I'm not trying to overthink it. I'm not trying to be more patient at the plate because, dude, he swings, man, still a ton first pitch. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's like, just have at it, man. Just swing. Just be an athlete. So I feel like there's a little bit of a combination of that. But, man, I don't know what it is. August, September, he just lights up. So it's a good sign for the Mariners.
And I think some people forget he's still not even 25 years old yet. I get it.
Exactly.
Some guys have MVPs and all that stuff, but he's he's still learning. So, I mean, I think it's cool that you see all those different things that he's learning to do in the big leagues.
Yeah, for sure.
Last question for me. Anytime I talk to an Australian baseball player, I have to ask, because I haven't seen my friend Jared Mangione is almost exactly your same age.
Yes.
Do you know what he's doing, and do you know who I'm talking about?
I know Mange. Of course I know Jared Mangione, of course. What is he doing? Oh, man. Now, you stumped me. I don't know why. And I should know this, man, because all the Aussies, past and present, we all tend to, stay in the same circles. You guys had Grant Balfour on months ago. He's one of my best friends. He was a groomsman at my wedding. We're really close, all the way down to everyone else. So I should know what Mangione's up to. I'll find out, though, Eric. I'll get back to you, dude, and I'll find out exactly what he's doing. But that's a name I haven't heard for a long time. Yes.
Prospect with the Blue Jays that I played with for a few years. One of the guys.
Yeah, he was. He was good, man. I remember, high school age, he was a stud. The thing is, though, in Australia, I say that now. I say this all the time. If I grew up in the States, I know AJ's got some boys right now playing, the showcase, doing the showcase rounds and all that. Dude, I feel like if I grew up in the States, man, I don't know if I ever would have gotten a chance, dude, because you're a big fish in a small pond. So I'll say Mangione was a stud. He may not have been. I don't know.
He was a stud.
He's out in Australia because no one plays. So there you go.
All right, Ryan, a couple things. First of all, I mean, I can go back to Darren Fidge. I mean, names that you guys are talking about these guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
Williams.
Peter. I mean,
he's CEO of Baseball Australia, dude. He's big time now.
Yep, Willow.
Pete Moylan, and he was, in jail with our hitting coach the same night. I mean, I've been through a lot of Australian stuff. Okay. All right. So listen, here's what I want to know. I got two questions for you. One, we played in the Hall of Fame game. It was 7-8 years ago. Has your shoulder recovered from that yet? Because it was the first time you touched the ball forever. And then also, who has better hair and dress game, you or Goldsmith? Because you guys are always on point with the hair and the dressing game.
Yeah, dude. No, Goldsmith, man, rolls out of bed and he's just got that Lego hair about him, dude. It's unreal. It's legit. It's got. You have to cut mine short, otherwise it goes all over the map. He doesn't need to do that. It's pretty on point. A Goldsmith, that's for sure. Now, the Hall of Fame. I do have a story about that Hall of Fame Classic, real quick, because I was fired up to pitch. I think was Victorino there.
He might have been. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he may have been. Well, he comes up to me and a couple of the other guys pitching. He's like, "Hey, man," and Jack Wilson too. Was like, hey, dude, make sure you throw breaking balls, change ups. We want to make this competitive. Don't just just slog it in there like this. I was like, yeah, no worries, no problem. And my back was killing me because I did that fun run thing in the morning too, like the 5K. I said, I'll run it like an idiot, and then my back was all blown up. But I remember you were catching, and I was all fired up, dude, like breaking balls, change ups, warming up. You walk out to the mound, you're like, hey, man, listen, don't be throwing any breaking balls, change ups. Just throw right down the middle. Let's get the hell out of here. I was like, dude, man. So there I am just coughing up. Dudes were just lacing balls everywhere because you were just going, fastball. I'm like, dude, I want to spin a breaking ball. Let's go. It's been forever. Let's go. So you ruined it for me that way.
Oh, yeah. It's all my fault. But you know why I did that? Because the year before I did it, and Kevin Gross did it, and he was a big curveball guy, and he had to have arm surgery because he's like, I couldn't. He blew his arm out the year before. So I was like, dude, just lob it in there. Let's get the hell out of here. Yeah, you wanted to go full sliders on everybody.
Dude, I was waiting for in spring training they say roll it. Guys just kept crushing balls, and there was a pop. I think what's his name? Carlos Pena dropped us a ball for the third out, and I'm like, bro, dude, I can't stay out here. Can we just roll this inning? They wouldn't roll it, so I just had to keep just coughing it up. It was brutal.
Yeah, see, AJ had your back. He was trying to look out for you and for any potential future surgeries that you'd avoid.